Welcome. I hope you find this series of videos helpful to you. My name is Fred Meyer. My Buddhist name is Tsultrim Seri, which in Tibetan means Discipline Gold Mountain. What I am attempting to do in this series of videos is to give you the experience of enlightenment. Many teachers in the Dharma or the teachings of the Dharma can tell you the various stages and what's involved in those stages and what conduct is important in those stages. And other teachings that are very helpful from an intellectual standpoint and from the standpoint of attaining enlightenment at some point. Of course, I'm going to have to use words now and then, so in some sense I will be doing that as well. But I'm doing something, one could say, much more bold than that, and try to actually give you the experience of enlightenment. What it feels like to be an enlightened person. Now, this term enlightened or enlightenment that I'm using is very specific. There is not your enlightenment and my enlightenment, okay? There is the enlightenment of the Buddha and the enlightened teachers for 2,500 years that followed him. That is the enlightenment that I am going to try to get you to experience, or to help you to experience. That enlightenment is actually very straightforward to define it. Enlightenment is the experience of the true nature of mind. That mind is empty, aware, vast, compassionate, non-dual, and many other adjectives. So that's what I'm trying to give you the experience of, and that's what enlightenment is. Okay? The experience of the true nature of mind. Now, a question, since I'm, one could say, fairly critical about spiritual teachers and their level of attainment, would be, what are my credentials for attempting something of this nature? Well, first of all, I would like to assure you that I know what enlightenment is, and I would be a fool to try something like this if I didn't. So, I can assure you about that. The second thing I can assure you about is that I have received the enlightened nature of mind from another person, which was my teacher, Chögyam Trungpa Rinpoche. I received it on a number of occasions. So I know that mind can be transmitted. The third thing is, I also know that I have the ability in person, to transmit enlightenment to someone else. And the last credential is that for a long time, I did not think it was impossible to transmit the experience of enlightenment to another using social media. But within the last 6 months, I have found on one occasion, on a Zoom meeting about a particular Vajrayana practice, that I experienced the enlightened aspect of that practice watching that Zoom. And at that point, I began to believe that enlightened mind can be transmitted through a medium like this. So that's the background for me to be attempting something of this nature. What I would like to emphasize here is that you pay particular attention to the environment that exists during this talk. Try to get a sense of it. Try to connect with it. The words are important, of course. And I have to use words. But be particularly aware of the feeling around the words, or any feeling that you may get watching this video. Maybe this is awful. So maybe you want to pay attention to that. But it may also be quite wonderful. That's a possibility too. And that's what I'm trying to do, obviously, okay? So pay attention to the environment of the video. Now, one thing I would like to make a point about is that in order for mind to be transmitted from one person to another, there has to be what's called, in my lineage, a connection. There has to be a connection between the enlightened person and the person receiving the teachings. It is said you can have a fully enlightened teacher and a wonderful, open, interested student, and yet the transmission will not occur. And that is because there isn't this connection that exists between the teacher and the student. Okay? So I'm telling you that to try to get some sense of connecting. Look closely. I mean, look at my face. Look at my eyes. You know, how I talk. Whatever. And see if you have some sense of a connection. Because if you do, it will make it much easier for me to transmit enlightened mind to you. By the way, it's incorrect to say that an enlightened person transmits mind to someone else. They don't transmit mind. What they do is they create a situation that allows the student to experience the enlightened nature of their own mind. So that's exactly what happens. So I think we'll stop here. Let's just be together for a little while. Just sit here for a short time. So, thank you so much for listening. And I hope you find this as helpful. And if possible, that you find further videos as helpful.